Hospitals in the southwest are struggling to meet targets for operating on people who fracture their hip. Patients are meant to have surgery within 36 hours, but latest figures show only 4 of the region's hospitals are managing this for at least 80% of patients. Even hospitals with the highest figures admit it's a huge challenge to operate on patients quickly. Our health correspondent Jenny Walren's report contains pictures of a hip operation.
It's a big day for Derek. He's having an operation on his hip at the Royal Devon and Exeter Hospital. It's a very physical operation, but he should be back on his feet tomorrow.
Derek is having a scheduled hip replacement, but patients who fracture their hips are supposed to be operated on within 36 hours, as long as they're well enough. And that's a target that the region's hospitals are struggling to meet.
There's no formal figure for the number of patients who should be treated in that time. The hospitals are given a financial incentive to meet that target, because the longer the patient waits, the more pain they endure and the greater risk of complications. Patricia Hanford knows only too well how that feels. She fell outside her home earlier this month and fractured her hip in 4 places.
You don't want pain like that again. It was excruciating. I'd rather give birth. The following day, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I went into theatre. 5:30 I came round to be told I'd had my fracture repaired and my hip replaced, and they had taken the 4 or 5 pieces of broken femur and put them together rather like you would a jigsaw puzzle on the shaft and wired it with wire to hold it in place.
Surgeons say with an older population in the southwest, operating quickly on patients is a particular challenge.
You just don't know from one day to the next how many people are going to fall over and break their hips, and so it's very difficult to predict on any day-to-day basis how many operating surgeons to have available, how many operating theatres, etc. to have available. I think these national targets have been established really to protect the patients and to put them as a priority for the hospitals to deal with.
At the RD&D, they have a system that alerts different teams to the number of hip fracture patients, and they also have a so-called firebreak list, space in the operating schedule for emergency patients such as hip fractures.
I think it's a difficulty for all hospitals in this country. A, because of the pressures that hospitals are facing at the moment with waiting times, with the elective load of patients to do, but primarily because of the need to prioritise these patients and offer them treatment promptly as soon as possible, as soon as it's safe to proceed.
The 36-hour target is challenging, but there are 65,000 hip fractures a year in England, Wales and Northern Ireland. So getting them treated quickly can make a big difference to already full hospitals. Jenny Walrend, BBC Spotlight.